Perfect.
Not a new person, Anthony, right? No. Is Tiffany joining?
She'll be in like 5-6 minutes.
Okay, do you want to join as a panelist, just so I can make the co-host and you have control?
Okay, I should be in there. Okay, fantastic. Why don't we kick off? I know a bunch of folks are out for the extended holiday, but my name is Mo Poker. I'm chair of the CSQL committee. I'm calling officially our September meeting to order. We have 2 items on the agenda today. The first is a discussion around Rider's Law. Rider's Law is something that was introduced by Councilmember Holden in 2024 in relation to the treatment of horses and horse-drawn carriages in New York City. And the second item we'll be discussing today will be the CBC, which is a nonpartisan group in New York, their recent report on quality of life in New York City and its comparison from 2017 to 2024. And we can use that as a starting point for discussion around some of the miscellaneous items that I want to cover as a committee moving forward. Before we kick off, I see here as well today, is there something specific that we're going to be covering?
No, I'm here to listen.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And Marisa, no one else from the public, I'm assuming,
What was amazing, I missed that.
and no one else from the public that's gonna be joining us? On anything separate? Okay, the second, so sorry, Michael, the first or
Something was amazing and I missed it. You said twice, amazing, amazing, but I missed what it was.
I don't even know what was amazing.
Now we have a guest here to
What's
say
that,
the thing.
Fantastic. So the first item,
Fantastic, even better. All right.
we're gonna be talking about Rider's Law and then the CBC Quality of Life report. Any other items that are top of mind for anyone before we kick off? Okay. I'll refrain from saying amazing or fantastic.
You
So
can do that for new business.
yes, for new business. So on the topic of Rider's Law, just so everyone has the same context, in 2022, there was a horse, I believe named Ryder, that passed away that was part of this team of horse-drawn carriages that you frequently see in Central Park. After the horse passed away due to what was claimed to be, mistreatment, there was a very public case that played out that recently came to conclusion. Last month, another horse named Lady passed away in Hell's Kitchen, I think suffering from cardiac arrest. And so this is bringing to the forefront this discussion around having horse-drawn carriages in Central Park and the adjacent areas, how we treat the animals who are, subject to like driving these horse-drawn carriages, and then what we can do as or our legislative bodies can do to address this issue. In 2024, as I mentioned, Councilmember Holden has had a bill that he announced Rider's Law to change, effectively phase out horse-drawn carriages and their inclusion in New York City by mid-2026. This is different than the earlier bill that was passed in 2022, which allowed for, let's say, electric carriages or other alternate sources to be put into place, which will be a full ban. The folks that are currently employed, I believe they're union workers, that as horse-drawn carriage drivers would then be placed into workforce development type programs to help secure new jobs. And so, given the recent passing of Lady, many groups have come out in support of Riders Law, including most recently the Central Park Conservatory, which just last week supported the Riders Law. And so just wanted to open the floor up for discussion. As a committee, we have multiple options here. Option number one is, we discuss as a committee our thoughts on Riders Law, come to a conclusion whether we want to support it or not to support it, and then write a formal resolution to that effect. We can also table this discussion to next month where we can get a representative from, let's say, the Central Park Conservatory or one of the council members to come and talk to us about their legislative efforts. Or, we can welcome other guest presenters. So we'll pause there, see if there are any first comments, questions.
Other comments. There was just today, I saw I don't know, it was Instagram or TikTok or one of them, that they had a horse just recently that was, did anybody see that?
Yeah.
It was
Last
running with
week,
the
that was
carriage
last
in
week.
back of it and some guy jumped out of the back.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So, there's a lot of, it's an animal and you can't, number one, it's not a human, you can't reason with it. It feels shaky, it's gonna be shaky. If it feels sick, it's gonna die, it's not gonna go to the doctor. But recently they ran, it must have been last week in here, they run these polls. Anybody look at those things? And they asked, here. They asked these polls. Should they boost the pay for officers and it was one, should they eliminate the
Horse-drawn carriage.
horses? Nobody saw that? And it was like,
There was a poll, I think, in one of the articles you sent, yeah.
I'm talking about the one in here, and it was overwhelmingly, I don't remember the number, in favor of letting this horses stay.
Oh, wow.
Now, something interesting is one of the groups that I do tours for, virtual tours, he had a virtual episode from the woman who's the head of the union of the horse drivers. She came up and she did magnificent half hour or an hour presentation of how great every different thing was for that for the horses, and yet she was prevented from, they ruled against her, and he was not allowed to show it. He showed it once, and he got so much flack from protesters who didn't like it because she aggrandized it. That he had to take that whole video, for which he got like 500 viewers, and people paid for it, and they still took it off. So there's sentiment in both ways. I think the against that the ridership is much more vocal than the for.
Yeah.
So the poll in the article that Mohit spent was 71% supported a ban. So that's different. from
You
the
saw
A.
one that the other way around.
Yeah, so the AM New York has a different, who knows
Yeah.
who did the polls or how accurate they were.
So I think generally the two sides of the argument that I've been reading about are, one, there's this party that you're talking about that is very vocal and coming out against ridership with these horse-drawn carriages, particularly because of either perceived treatment of the animals, perceived congestion that these horse-drawn carriages create in particularly busy areas of the city, or cleanup efforts required for the upkeep of these carriages, also in particularly busy areas of the city. And so I think a combination of those plus some recent catalysts have led a lot of people to speak out against this. I think the opposite side of the issue specifically comes to the workers that make a living in providing these horse-drawn carriage services. And so I believe the union is called TU Local 100. Don't quote me on that, but there's about, I think, 140 or 150 of these folks who effectively drive these horse-drawn carriages, take care of the horses, park the horses on the west side of Manhattan. And the thinking is that they already feel that they have sufficient protections.
They feel that,
They have sufficient protections in place to protect the animals. For example, I think there's a max 12 or 14 hour workday allowed for the horse. Above a certain temperature, I think it's 90 degrees, or below a certain temperature, I think 20 degrees, they're not allowed to work. And so they feel that there's sufficient protections in place, and that banning or phasing out these carriages completely is a quite aggressive move. And so those are both sides of the argument. Go
I
ahead.
have a question, how did the 12 to 14 hours determine, like, what was it based on? You know, it sounds
Yeah.
like long hours to me.
Yeah, that is
even
long
as a
hours.
human.
If you, so there was
Especially depending on
some
the time
writing
of
that I
year,
didn't
so.
fully understand about, there's like this horse index where they translate like human figures, human temperatures into what is comfortable for a horse. I assume like some horse expert, the equine expert has looked at this, but I don't personally know.
Yeah, they don't have the same, they don't require the same conditions as humans, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, my question would be on, yeah, what is the quality of life for these horses? So like, what, is it really terrible for them? And then what is what's gonna be the workforce training like for these people? And, the situation of the workers, I think, would be one of my main focus points, because just because you have workforce training doesn't mean that gets you a new job. And so
Right.
like how that would work, is it?
So I don't think there's too many details I read, at least around the workforce training programs. I know that they're putting into place some type of generic program. This bill was announced in 2024, so it's been sitting with legislative bodies for some time, only because of recent incidents as it resurfaced. You can weigh that as you may. I assume it's gonna be pretty generic though, relative to other workforce development programs.
I think there's value in having someone from.
Little
the
louder, please.
Conservancy. I think there's value in having someone from the Conservancy come in to speak to us, because they've never taken an actual position before, and now
Correct.
they finally have. So it'd be interesting to know why now, because this has been going around for years and they've never ever taken a position. So I would like to know like what changed their mind. Do they have information that we are not privy to
Yeah,
regarding their animals?
and I would personally be biased towards this perspective as well. I think, to your point, the Central Park Conservancy has never taken a stance on this particular issue. It's been in the public eye for 3-4 years now. And so the fact that they're coming out strongly in favor, they must, have some rationale behind that. And so I'd be open to either voting to table this for our next month's discussion, or we can invite the Conservancy to speak to us about it. But it seems like we have like a general understanding of both sides of the issue.
do you think it would be wise to invite someone from the other?
Yeah, maybe we can all,
Okay,
that's a great
yeah.
point. We can
Why not?
invite someone from the union, local 100 to come present to us as well. Yeah. It's a great
She's
idea.
been here before. The woman-
Oh, really?
Yeah. A while ago, quite a while ago.
Okay,
And will somebody be speaking about what will happen with the horses?
oh, so, what the legislation calls for is basically, like a transfer of the horses.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's like, it's a little bit confusing, but basically there's a part of the legislation that says the horses can't be slaughtered and they can't be resold to any other type of carriage business. So they have to be rehomed effectively. I don't know if that looks like some kind of like reserve somewhere, or some nice place where they can have happy times. But they will be rehomed for the legislation, just not to any slaughterhouse or any new carriage business. But it's a great call out. We should learn more about it. Tiffany, any other comments on this one?
No, my biggest thing, like what we were talking about, is what would go into play to help them find work, and what happens to the actually what happens to the horses. So I think we kind of need a little bit more information on that, because besides the one that you circulated, then of course, like we probably all heard about that happening. So started looking up other things, and again, seeing the contradictory in the conservatory of what stance they took before and what stance they take now. So most other places have already that have carriage rides, they've already, you know, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So what is our pro and con of keeping this tradition versus benefit? So, I don't see as much benefit from it. That's a personal stance. But I'd like to know what happens to them, the workers and the horses. And nothing says anything about that,
Yeah.
so, I support the law. It's just what happens, again, it's my personal, but I support it, I just would like to know what happens, I don't wanna support something that doesn't have a solution.
There's one other viewpoint that you have to take into account. It's an iconic part of visiting New York City for tourists. The tourists will go and get a hot dog from a vendor because they heard that the New York hot dogs are great. They're warm water dogs, we can warm 30 water dogs. And another one is taking a ride, which I think is like astronomical in cost per minute or something like that now. It's ridiculous. But they come in, they spend the money and they go on these rides and they love it. So to them, it's a plus. And maybe the way that we're losing tourism now, because of what's going on with Canada and Mexico, Canadian tourism is a fraction of what it was in years past before all of these tariffs were passed. So maybe that would be an argument on the side of they should stay because more people might come that maybe wouldn't come before.
Yeah. I think it's really fair. And so I think next steps here will be, we invite the Central Park Conservancy for next month's meeting, as well as the union, Local 100. And so we'll hear both sides of the issue, and then at that meeting, we'll be able to take a stance probably in the form of a resolution, whether to support Riders Law or come out against it. But Tiffany, are you good with that, or?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I hope we can get them for next time, I do think that just, we need to do a resolution, not just a letter of support, because this is a pretty significant topic that we, as this committee that we're newly founding, can bring to the table. So I hope we can get them to come so we can get some type of resolution next time.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was late and missed the intro to this, but where are we in the process legislating?
Where are we in the process?
Of the legislation of.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been put forward, is it scheduled, what's the timeline when it's gonna come
So the-
to force?
The timeline is a little bit indefinite, so this was announced by Councilmember Holden in 2024. There was a previous bill for the context that was announced in 2022 that transitioned from horse-drawn carriages to electric carriages. That I think ultimately failed, and then this new bill, Riders Law, which was named after the horse that passed away in 22, was a full phase out ban by mid 2026. I think it has had like mixed support amongst legislative bodies, but the recent events have been a catalyst for a ton of like public media and support, which is why it's like resurfaced. And so I think the thinking is all of these groups come out and potentially support or come out against this piece of legislation, and then the next session they'll potentially have a vote on it.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that the idea was to be completely phased by June 1st of 2026, but those that are highly in support are asking it to go to legislation now and not wait.
Okay, incredible. Any other thoughts or comments or questions? You're on, Melissa. What else do we have on here?
No, that makes sense on moving forward that way.
Okay, incredible. So I think clear on item number 1. Item number 2 is a little bit of a miscellaneous item. And so I just wanted to share this survey from the CBC that came out called Straight from New Yorkers 2025. Let's see if I can share. Okay, cool. So. The Citizen Budget Commission, which is, I believe, like a nonpartisan nonprofit organization, has a survey done that they do, I think, on an annual basis. That looks at the quality of life of New York City residents across all 5 boroughs. They, recently did this survey and published results in June. During our summer recess, where they looked at various metrics that measured quality of life. The overall takeaways from this survey, I thought it would be helpful for everyone to see, is that most New Yorkers feel that their quality of life has decreased by a significant amount. Their comparison point was 2017 to today. The proportion of also residents who rate their neighborhood as an excellent or a great place to live has also fallen since 2017. And commonly cited reasons for the quality of life decreasing include public safety, subway safety, government services, as well as spending of tax dollars. Outside of the last one, I feel like these are topics that we come across a lot in this committee, specifically when it comes to public safety and neighborhood safety. And so I just wanted to use this as a catalyst for an open discussion, given that we're coming back from summer recess and there have been a few months of public and current events. If there's anything that anyone is now more passionate about, they want to cover in committee as a miscellaneous item moving forward, or something that relates to these items, I just wanted to open the floor and give everyone a chance to, cover a little bit about what's on top of mind for them. Go ahead.
I had one thought. I mean, this isn't something I'm particularly interested in, but I did look at the major felony offenses over the years, and they're way up from 2017. So it's not an issue. Could be. I mean, crime, it's definitely, safety is a perception issue as well as a real issue. But looking at the numbers, it's pretty striking. Some of them, felony assault is up 30% over that time period. So I think people are responding to that. So, that's real. And I'm not a big, super interested in public safety myself, but that's, we can address how people feel and also address, the extent that we can address, I don't know, issues related to these incidents, and that would help people. I think another one, which maybe you didn't say, is affordability, or maybe you said that, but that's, I think, huge as well, but maybe not so much the purview of this committee.
Yeah, I think on the first item, and Tiffany can share more about this, we have this opportunity to engage with the NYPD more directly. Tiffany, do you want to talk about the programs?
Yeah, only because I attended one, I didn't know about them until it came before me. And I think we spoke about this a little bit when we did the public safety committee. That we have different precincts within our district that hold monthly meetings. The majority of them are virtual, so we could just get on and listen. They're really only an hour long. And it's nice because usually sergeant or the head detective or somebody, they'll follow up on what they talked about the last meeting, what the concerns were of the public. They'll talk about what's current. They'll give some statistics. And I think having that information from our area, actually from our police departments, is very helpful for us to actually consider when things, items come to us to have an idea on. And so I encourage us to, with that committee, especially for there to be somebody assigned to each one of those, which we kind of did on that night. But that's definitely one way of that public safety. And there's other things besides that can read or go to, but I really think that the precincts is such a easy and obtainable source of information.
And so we'll have this opportunity to join all of these meetings with the NYPD directly.
Yeah.
I think in one of the meetings right before recess or right after, we broke it down by precinct, or at the precinct level. And so each of the precincts has these monthly meetings, which we can join. We'll probably rotate as a committee so that there's not a crazy burden on any one person to join all the meetings, but that'll inform some of the data that we get from the NYPD. And then we can always, it's been here before, talk about their pilot program, etc.
And I think they realized that I was on and my thing said CB5. So not that I can speak to them, because it wasn't a panelist, I was a viewer, but they said, oh, we love having the community board members involved, and I was like, oh, you actually know that someone's here. So again, they're pretty good at reaching, and I think they'd be amenable to speaking to us in person besides that, but that's a very good source for us to start with, for sure.
Fantastic. Anything else top of mind for folks as we come back from the recess?
So this is about quality of life in
Yeah.
New York, and you think that if most people were polled from top to bottom of the economic spectrum who live in New York City or work in New York or work in New York City, that most people would say it's improved, and most people would say it's decreased the quality of life. You think that most people would say it's been less?
So according to the survey that they did, they said it's significantly decreased.
Significantly. I was wondering amongst us here, because I don't mind sharing, I never been happier. I mean, I'm earning less than I ever did before in my life as an old guy. And eggs cost up to kazoo. But other than the price of stuff, I think it's pretty cool living here. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on the planet than
Yeah.
here, just because of everything that me personally encountered.
I mean,
That's
I think the
my-
elephant in the room is that was done 2017, and the elephant in the room is the pandemic. And I think if you poll with any city, it's gonna be viewed significantly negatively. because of the
Negative,
pricing.
yeah.
Yeah, and so, and I think also there's a rise in violence because of the frustrations that people are like now come to terms with PTSD or whatever from the pandemic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So,
mental health that comes
there's a
into
lot of
play
mental
now,
health
and
issues,
so
yeah.
they overlap each other a lot, and I think that's where the safety issues with people who live here and people who even visit here do and don't want to be around, or, feel like the quality of life has changed, with that increase.
But as a community board, I feel better. Does anybody else want to vote?
I'm opposite.
You feel better?
No, I feel,
You feel not better?
yeah.
Anybody else feel better? Am I the only one?
I think the main thing for me is affordability.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of the city for me is great, right now, but
You're weighing that affordability
for
high.
me, I have to say it's worse because it's harder to afford rent, yeah.
Of course, I get that too.
Yeah.
Anybody else wanna?
I mean, I've been living in the city since 2015. I have to say, I'm significantly less
Less,
happy. There are lots of drug issues that, you can see needles, used needles on the street, just abandoned, like in plain sight. It is just crazy, the level of robbery and, people stealing from stores. It is crazy. And CPS, it takes, I mean.
in aisle 5,
Exactly. I mean, it's just crazy.
yeah. So for you, not for what you've seen other people, but for you, it's less?
Yes, but I can speak for at least the people around me too, everybody, like most of the people.
I can see that, but I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just on the one side.
I think we have to take.
I'm happy.
Be positive guy.
So I was just down in downtown Brooklyn for a festival yesterday, and they've overdeveloped that whole area downtown. But there's so many homeless people. I mean, so, and who can afford these developments, right? And so I just think that, it's a problem that we're giving these developers these tax breaks, but they should funnel some of the savings into like.
Yeah.
Housing for some reason.
But without looking at all the surrounding, you yourself, as you fit into that surrounding, are you also lesser than?
I mean, because I make a really good living, I'm okay, but.
So you're
Yeah.
not
It's middle of the road.
negative.
Middle of the road.
Well, I have the same feelings about homelessness. I walk around the garment district on my tours. I see nothing but that kind of stuff. So I see that too, but I'm looking at me. And me, I'm happier than I ever was, even with all my grief with that sickness and shit like that and age and what have you. I just more optimistic today than I think I've
That's
ever been
great.
before.
Happy for you.
Yeah.
If I could be so bold, I would just say, like, I think all these things are connected, and the way that I see it is affordability, you know, works its way out into a lot of realms. And so, the pandemic and the mental health toll that took on everyone, but it's also the increase in prices and the increase in the lack of affordability that I think drives people to crime, that obviously drives people to homelessness, and then thus the lack of safety. And so to me, those things are all being driven by kind of the economy and lack of affordability in the city.
Yeah, and I think our community or CB5 community would agree with that. Because every year, as you guys know, we have our statement of district needs that comes out. We get an understanding from all the organizations in this district. So what their highest needs are, and consistently those needs are mental health, homelessness, economic recovery, and affordability. And so this is why we've structured the committee now to be focused on these areas. But I would agree. I think I'd love to hang out with you more, Michael.
Yeah.
I think happiness is like a different question than like easiness. And I think in terms of ease of life or quality of life, it's definitely gotten harder, both in terms of affordability as in terms of safety as well.
So maybe not for you, but for what you see, and I see that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I witness it also, and I
Yeah.
totally agree. But
But you're still happy.
but to me, I'm there, not there.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
We're also living in Manhattan and, with
You give and take, right, too, though. You
Huh?
decide to live in New York City, you give and take,
Totally. But yeah, I mean, I think the survey says that like different racial groups and
Yeah.
different income groups and different boroughs
Living
have very,
different.
yeah, so that has a big effect as well.
I think even different areas within our district, even just within CB5, it's very different from one corner to the next, and.
Yeah.
And that affects quality of life, so.
I thought it was interesting that just the split between those who are the higher income groups. There seem to be more aligned now with, yeah, it's just kind of universal in their dissatisfaction sort of coming together.
Yeah.
I love.
incredible. So I think this is just, I think, a catalyst for how we're planning to structure the committee moving forward. And David, you want to quickly cover our three groups?
Yeah.
I just make sure we have everyone here
Yeah.
on that list.
So, 3 groups, so we have our homelessness and mental health, that's Melissa, Julie, Tristan, Yoran, and Will. And then economic recovery and affordable housing is Gabby, Kevin, Robert, Andrea. Mike, if you want that one. Third is public safety, which is Mike, Morris, Alice, Annie, David Shapiro, and also K-Back if he wants it. So that splits up, besides Mohit and myself, that splits up our committee into the 3s. And then we talked about some other areas of interest, special areas of interest and topics that we want to kind of focus on in addition. So that's, we can put those into a little bit, or they're gonna kind of fall into each of these meetings in these kind of buckets. There are a couple things, so going through each one, I made a list of what's kind of come across my email and come across the table since we last met in July. Whether it's something Mohit forwarded or Brad forwarded or Marisa forwarded or how you're on forwards, which I love. One of the things, there is for homelessness and mental health, whoever's on this committee, and I say whoever's on this committee because I cannot attend it. There is a briefing policy with New York School of Law responding to the homelessness and severe mental health in New York City subways and other public spaces. And that briefing is Thursday. I can put up the attachment. I don't know, even if somebody's not on the committee but wanted to go, that'd be amazing, just to kind of get a breakdown more, so we actually know what is happening on more of the logistic end versus just what we hope and what we want.
What
But they're
time
not
will that
streaming
be?
it. It is, I think it's. I have the doctor's appointment right then, it's so mad. Yeah, 8:45 to 10. And I would probably have to RSVP for whomever tonight, if they could go, 8:45 to 10. They do some refreshments, and then 9 to 10 is the program. It's at New York Law School on 185th West Broadway on the second floor. And then they have a panelist of 5 people, medical and legal. So there'll be doctors and lawyers there speaking on this behalf, and I'm really upset after this.
That's tonight, right?
That's on the 4th.
On the 4th.
That's on the 4th. Thursday, the 4th at 8:45 to 10 a.m.
Is
There's
there a
a-
virtual option for this, or is it in person
No,
only?
not all in person only. That's why I'm just asking if there's anybody, I mean,
I might be able to go.
okay.
Can you RSVP?
Yeah,
me?
sure.
And
Yeah, and I'll send that over to you. That was one of the forefront things I wanted to say tonight before, 'cause I think that would be great, and because our next full meeting where we try to focus on more topic related and subgroup related, homelessness and mental health was going to be our first like assigned month. Not that we won't talk about everything else that's kind of crossing our paths at that point, but it'll be a big focus on that. And then there was for homelessness and mental health, there's a past legislation, like I was just talking about, and I can forward that to everybody so you can see it. But I believe that's what they're gonna be talking a lot in the briefing. So was my main component that's on the list as of now for homeless and mental health. Just to get started, just to know where we can help, what's actually happening, what we can have a voice in versus just, again, like I said, not liking the way that it is, like what can we do for it? So we need to get involved with understanding the logistics of what is occurring. Economic recovery and affordable housing services, there's a few things that have topics that have come up, which again, I'll circulate this. We'll kind of meet with each group again to give you, I just want to say is out loud so you just hear them. But HPD has shoot, where was it? Should go to the other one. There is, who sent me the city limits thing on the rent, the vouchers holders? Who was that? Was that Ron? Maybe it was Brad.
No, I was
that
gonna
you?
say it like sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah, so the public, there's an article in city limits. Oh, Mike, was it you? Okay, I know, I literally like sifted, I don't know, like 50 emails, to try to pull together what was in our committee. So there's on city limits, there's an article out about, public is getting to weigh in a little bit more on the city's plan to kill the incentive for landlords who rent to voucher holders. So that has to do with affordable housing services and economic recovery. So that's one thing I'm gonna pass out to, that subcommittee. Again, I'm not gonna go into depth of all of them, just want to kind of tell you some things that are happening. There's also, I don't know if we want to bring it up, but I would put it under this subcategory also, but Ed Sullivan is ending, and the theater, for economic recovery, what are we going to do with that space? What are they gonna do for the workers and the legacy that all that brought? So that, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. It doesn't have to be, but the Ed Sullivan,
Colbert.
yeah. Mhm. What's that? And then public safety actually has a few things going on. I kind of think that the writers law, even though it's quality of life, I kind of think that goes into safety, because if, the employees get hurt, the horses get hurt, people around could get hurt, and all these other things. So I think that's kind of a little bit of safety. So I want to follow up with this in the category of those in public safety. And then there's also a column that came out about New York City cyclists, which, I'm on transportation committee, so we do talk about it there, but this is a public safety component of our quality of life. And there's it said there's statistic about a 10-fold increase in criminal summons under NYPD push, so they're actually enforcing to the, I don't know how relevant the article is or what's really happening, but that public safety of cyclists is definitely.
On the e-bikes? Or
It's,
In
it's
general.
just in general, yeah, yeah. And again, this is just one, I'm just giving topics within the subcommittees. I think that we should start heading because things have been between July and August. These are, even though, you know, we're recessed during those times as far as, politically mostly, but, they're still coming across. So we'll send that stuff out, and kind of get some ideas, and then plan another just virtual quick, so we get our subgroups and get a schedule down and, yeah.
Any thoughts, questions, Counselor?
I do have a comment on the, e-bike in general. I think a lot of times just bike in the Midtown district, especially through lots of foreign people, which makes it harder to reinforce the law because they don't know, they are all like biking elsewhere and they come here, they bike, they go in different direction, they don't know. It's really hard to, like,
Okay.
it's always a tourist and sometimes they deliberate driver, but I can see it become a challenge.
And that we, on the transportation committee, this is always a topic, like all the time. And so it's not just one thing to get, it's just how much, what's being done to protect our community with cyclists that are not obeying. So there's not a right answer. So there's not enough police staff to,
Yeah.
and that's where it gets difficult, but there has been, some more paying attention, to those that are breaking laws. And, it's good to follow up on that to see where we're lacking, even where we can, find a hole where we can add our thoughts.
Can I
Anyway.
just make a comment? I'm sorry. I for some reason I can't find the raise hand feature. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry. So this is why I can't be there in person. So I'm gonna talk now, okay? So so I think Tiffany said something really important, and said it several times. So thank you, Tiffany, which is that I do think a great first step for some of these subcommittees is just getting the lay of the land. Like looking at this survey, these last two bullet points, the satisfaction in these city services is particularly low. I don't know that many people in the committee, including me, know the full breadth of what these services are. Like, what are even the services available? How are people accessing them? And so I think educating ourselves is important. And I wonder if, in your guys' conception of these subgroups, do each subgroup have a leader to sort of spearhead maybe sub education for that subgroup, or are we, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, we didn't kind of set it up that way. It was just Mohit and I together.
Yeah.
Kind of leading each one of the groups. And then with the help of the office.
Right.
Because when we had our meetings too, Marisa and Josh, they wanted to make sure that once we get a topic that we plan to pursue.
Yep.
We can discuss what agencies to outreach and
Exactly.
get more
Right.
familiar.
Right.
And so that's why I don't, and I think Mohit feels the same, I don't want to put so much on our plate as far as going out and finding things as much as understanding the services and what we have available and where missing links are, and then connecting that to what is currently, happening. But we do have to, and we have so many services I've never even known about.
Right.
So when I asked Marisa about it before, she wanted to talk about the services with each subgroup instead of just kind of giving our committee this huge list. Because that always feels a little bit heavy.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
you don't look at it. And so that is one thing what I would like to do next is kind of get familiar with those services.
Yeah,
And yes. Mhm.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I totally agree with you on the instead of going out and finding stuff, I totally agree. I was just saying that maybe it would relieve some of the administrative burden that it's on you and Mohit
Oh.
if there were
Yeah, I think one
subcommittee
really
leads who were helping to organize that. It's just so it doesn't all fall to you, Tiffany. That's
Oh.
basically what I'm saying.
Well, thank.
Yeah, I think one really great point you also mentioned, Huron, is around, and Tiffany said this multiple times as well, around education. But I think you had a suggestion in terms of like bringing if I
Yeah,
understood correctly, bringing the
agencies in
agencies
to
to the
talk to
meetings.
us. Mhm.
And so maybe one thing that we can do, maybe we can try this at our next meeting, is on the topic of homelessness and mental health, we can
Bring
have
somebody.
someone from a related agency come and just talk to us for 20-30 minutes about the topic. And then, that person can rotate to someone else the next time we cover that topic. Such
Yeah.
that like we just start to build a knowledge as a committee. I think it's something
Yeah.
that we can investigate with Marisa, maybe Marisa can track someone down.
Yeah, I
Or
think
Josh.
that'd be great, and I guess I do. I'm never good with my words. I can put them down really good. That is kind of what I was trying to say, is I really want us to educate ourselves at the same time. That we're trying to speak on behalf of our community that we're representing, so.
Or,
Mhm.
But
there must be, I mean, I feel like I'm so little about the topics, and for me, it's helpful to choose one of our long
Yes,
list as
yeah.
sort of a way in,
Yes,
because they're all connected, and then you start learning about the others. But I was gonna ask, like, maybe we could try to come up with some good online tutorial, I mean, there's a
Education.
lot available, which if we could piece together. Because I think, 20 minutes with one person next month isn't enough.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to learn a lot more. So,
we can talk to Marisa too and see maybe if she can put maybe some of the topics with and match them with some of the agencies that they would correspond with and help us just have a little blurb about it, and then whoever's in that group then can then read and research that according to a little help.
mhm,
Would that be helpful?
yeah,
I think I pitched something similar to what you're saying to Brad a few months ago. Maybe Euron knows. I believe Euron, we had like almost like an internship program, right? Where there were folks from schools in the area maybe that were gonna come on for experience. This could like, I consider this like a collateral building exercise where you're basically taking all the information and making primers per
Yeah,
topic.
yeah.
And then you have, let's say the output is a 10-page primer with the
Yep.
help of ChatGPT or something like that everyone can read through. Euron, do you know, like, is that program underway, or was it only for the summer, or?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I can find out. I don't know.
Okay, that's maybe something we
Yeah.
can explore. We can take on like an intern
Mhm.
or a student who can help us basically create these primers for each of the topics, and then we circulate it out to the committee for like a 10-page readout. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like I have a good base of knowledge about homelessness in the city. What I don't know is like this district specifically. What are the issues facing our district? What are the resources? What are the things that are getting worse? And yeah, so that's what I need to know.
Yeah, so what I was thinking, Mohit, is, since we kind of took this break, but I did kind of collaborate everything that had come across in my emails. I wanted to speak with Marisa and see what the board office has received, because they receive tons. We don't always get everything, and they don't always forward everything to every single person or even every single chair. And then that way we can start to have some topics, and then we can also have the agencies to help understand like what the problems are and what, pros and cons are. But we do need topics, and that's why I did create a couple of them, but to get more of a list and to be able to go from there. So I believe I'll have a little more to provide for everyone within the next week or so.
And also, Tiffany, what could be a resource is if Brad sent the email earlier today about the bid representation, and
Yeah.
Will, Yoden, and I are each a shelter representative. And so
Yes.
I haven't yet been connected. I don't know any of us have. And so, but maybe through that process, the three of us can also talk and compare notes and present back to the committee anything that we discover. And that could just be a resource as well.
Oh, sure. I think, with, with us having the bids, it's relevant to every single one of our committees. So whatever topics come through on the shelter or the food pantry or whatever bid there is, whatever they're addressing, whichever committee that pertains to, that information should come back to that committee. So when the bids are are a position for the whole board, not just one of the committees. So the information needs to get relayed to the committees that they are related to, and that would be very helpful if we become a little bit more diligent on that information share. Cool. So yeah, we can talk to Brad too, to make sure that that's where he sees that going and how he wants to, like, I do Port Authority, so I write a little blurb and I let Brad and Marisa know, and I let David Samir know, but I don't necessarily have to talk about it if it's not something that we have to address within our district. I only really bring what comes to our district. So, yeah. Did you have a question?
Nope. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, couple of things. First, Will, I see you're on the 34th Street Partnership. I bet you they could tell you a lot.
Oh.
So you're on homelessness, and also you're on the shelter.
Yeah, Yaron just mentioned that, so once we get a chance to meet with the shelter, I'll
We'll get
definitely bring
information
that
of
information.
Kazoo.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention, well, I went to recently one of these town hall meetings about the casinos. that
Yes.
they're
Oh,
now
that's
having.
on
I
my-
don't know if anybody else
So-
went to any of those.
Sorry, I forgot to bring that up.
But I went to the one,
Mhm.
they were all at the show
Mhm.
on Park Avenue on 37th Street, that hotel, nice hotel there. And amazing. It was just an eye opener to hear both sides of the fence. And there's 10 applicants for 3 spaces. Isn't that how it goes? And the 3 spaces that are really being pushed are in Manhattan.
Oh, really?
Right, one is the solo thing on First Avenue and near, just south of the UN.
Okay.
And the other one is in that hotel at 1750 Broadway, right in the middle of Times Square.
The Times Square one, yeah.
And
That's on that
where,
big
I
star.
forget what a third one
Is it
is,
Hudson Yards?
Hudson Yards.
Mhm.
And as a resident, 1 block away from the casino on First Avenue, I live on Second and 40th. And the people were waiting out the door to get in because it's a real big residential area, and all the residents went. I didn't go to that meeting, but I read a review of it, a 2-page review of it in the paper. I went to the other one. It's just so interesting to what. Does SL Green have an interest in any of these 3?
Yes, we're bidding for the one in Times Square.
Yes.
Hi.
So it's interesting that that's really ain't gonna
Yeah.
impact us.
Well, yeah,
if it
I think that,
happens.
if it
Because the
happens,
other
because then we have
6
quality
places.
of life and public safety, so that's definitely gonna come across our way. So I did put a question mark by that. I was gonna ask Mohit and Marisa tonight if that's something that we should present to you guys to see if that's something
You
that
gotta
you
go
want
to
in
one
our
of those.
committee.
Well, I
Um,
think, is Mike Greeley in the room? I think he could, this is something that the land use committee is
Yeah,
dealing with.
it's land use too, but is it gonna be quality of life related too?
Yeah, well, the land use committee is gonna be issuing a letter, a resolution this month that the
Okay.
board will vote on that will
Okay.
definitely lay out quality of life issues. So I think it's probably taken care of, but it's good for us.
Okay, all right, so we'll back burner it.
Do you
for
feel
new.
the same way?
Well, I mean,
Or-
if SL Green or the applicant would give us their security plan and their traffic plan, traffic management
Mhm.
plan, security management plan, that would be very helpful. That was our big concern at the land use committee.
Okay.
But we don't have,
Okay.
All publicly available for all the applicants.
but it's not on the website. Which website is available? Because on the state website, it's not.
Speak loud because I'm here to.
It's on casinos NY or something.
Right,
Like that.
and
That's the whole application, and then there's been meetings in front of the Community Advisory Council where they spoke traffic as well.
right, and that was very, what do you call them? Summarized, and we were looking for the plan of that's 900 pages or something like that. And that's all redacted on the state website, so because it's you call
Classified.
not classified, but it's like proprietary information because their applicants are competing against each other, stuff like that.
Okay, so I think, well, as you get that information, which you don't have yet, if this committee can support the,
And we won't have enough time for the
For this,
deadline for the
okay.
state.
okay, so maybe post the next month, depending on what comes out of the land use resolution. We can address like the remaining parts in
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
Whether that's this, if we finally get a copy of the traffic and plan and, or anything else.
Yes. Thank you. And that definitely was on my topics. I knew it would hit us eventually, but. Anything else?
I went to the national night out for the
You did?
for the Midtown North, and there was a representative from the Midtown Community Justice Center, just like a prison diversion program that you minor misdemeanor arrests go to do like community service or things like that, or get them services, because she was saying that the majority of the people that get arrested are homeless people. And so we're just trying to get them into services and that they're funded through a state grant and they get federal grant. They're worried about the federal grant disappearing and private grant. So maybe she would like to present to us about more funding.
Oh, so that could be something for next month,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
because it ties into the
Yeah.
topic of,
The homelessness.
Yeah.
Mental health, yeah. Does Marisa have that contact?
No,
Or
I just send it to you.
You send it to us, yeah, and then,
And I
okay,
gave it a paper copy.
perfect. No, thank you for going for that. That's amazing.
before we adjourn, any final thoughts, comments, questions? Anyone from the public who wants to speak? Don't see anyone from the public. Any new business?
I have new business. I have a tour, a free tour, free. On the Monday, the 8th of the Garment District, you can see homelessness up close if you want. Or on the 7th, also the Flatiron District on a Sunday at 11 o'clock, on Monday at 10:30. 2 free tours. Again, if you're not happy, double your money back.
And where's the meeting point
Meeting point,
The yellow
which
button.
one?
for the one on Sunday
The one on Sunday is at the tip of the Flatiron Building,
at 11 a.m.?
11 a.m.,
Okay,
okay? You can look for me then.
You won't miss them, promise. I haven't done your Flatiron, I need your Flatiron.
When you went on the Garment
Yeah, I
District,
did garment.
Okay, thank you all for coming, so I think that adjourns this month's meeting. And then we'll reach out over email for next month's meeting and next
Yeah.
steps.
We'll try to get the topics and everything set up, and since homelessness and mental health will be the main, besides we want to get those pros and cons of the law to come in and speak. We'll get with Marisa to try to get some agencies and homelessness and mental health.
Castle Green, did you come here because of the casino thing? Is that what you're just, I think, becoming a member of the,
I was here to learn. We want
yeah,
to.
but so it's not connected to your,